Imagine a place where 1.4 billion people move like an endless river of colors, smells, and sounds, where the sacred and the profane mingle on every street corner, where the most unbridled wealth coexists with breathtaking poverty, where golden temples sparkle next to tin shacks. This is the country everyone thinks they know, but that nobody truly talks about. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm taking you to India, and what you're about to see will leave you speechless. India is not a country. India is a continent disguised as a nation. It's an explosion of life that hits you like a punch to the gut as soon as you step off the plane. The air is dense, heavy, charged with spices, incense, smog, and dust. The temperature in the summer can reach 122 degrees Fahrenheit, 50 degrees Celsius. The streets are an orchestrated chaos where sacred cows walk among Lamborghinis and motorized rickshaws. There are 22 official languages and over 19,000 dialects. It's the 7th largest country in the world by area, but the first in density of contradictions. The true face of India: Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai. Cities that are home to millions of souls, where glass skyscrapers soar above sprawling slums. But you don't find the real India on postcards. You find it in the narrow alleys of Varanasi, where the dead are cremated on the Ganges and the ashes mix with the water that people use for drinking, washing, and praying. You find it in the markets of Jaipur, where women wear saris that look like living rainbows and sell spices that smell like lost paradises. You find it in the rice paddies of Kerala, where the green is so intense it hurts your eyes. But there's more to the story. India is also the country where 140 million people lack access to sanitary services, where sacred rivers like the Ganges are among the most polluted on the planet, where mountains of trash accumulate on the sides of the roads and no one seems to see them, where plastic floats next to flowers offered to the gods, where barefoot children play among the garbage while, a few yards away, weddings worth millions of dollars are being celebrated. It is a living oxymoron, a breathing paradox, the land of the Maharajas. And yet, India is also the land of the Maharajas, of white marble palaces like the Taj Mahal, considered one of the 7 wonders of the modern world, of red sandstone forts that dominate golden deserts, of rock-cut temples that look like they were built by giants. It is the cradle of yoga, meditation, and the spirituality that the West has tried to imitate for decades. It's the country where Bollywood produces more films than Hollywood, where wedding banquets last 7 days and 7 nights, where luxury reaches heights that even Dubai can't imagine. What you discover now will surprise you even more. India is the country of castes, a rigid social system that divides people from birth. There are the Brahmins, the priests, the Kshatriyas, the warriors, the Vaishyas, the merchants, the Shudras, the laborers, and then there are the untouchables, the Dalits, those who don't even belong to the system. Even though the Indian Constitution abolished castes in 1950, in practice they still exist. They determine who you marry, what job you have, where you live. They are invisible but omnipresent, like the air you breathe, the sensory street bombardment. Walking through the Indian streets is like stepping into a never-ending movie. Cars honk every 3 seconds, not out of anger, but to communicate. It's a language. Street vendors shout out their products with voices that sound like chants. Motorized rickshaws zip between pedestrians, cows, stray dogs, and flower sellers. The smell changes every 10 feet.
Curry, jasmine, carbage, incense, gasoline, spizzettea.
It's a sensory bombardment that never leaves you in peace. But the true soul of India is discovered in its homes. In families where 3 generations live under the same roof, where the mother cooks from morning till night, preparing dishes that require hours of work, where marriages are not individual choices but family decisions, where respect for elders is as sacred as respect for the gods, where children learn prayers before they learn the alphabet. It is a country where the collective matters more than the individual, where family is everything. The Indian women, and then there are them, the Indian women, with their silk saris that ripple like colorful flags, with the bindi on their forehead that marks the third eye, the point of intuition, with the gold jewelry that jingles with every step. with the henna on their hands that draws protective mandalas. Indian women have an ancient depth in their eyes. They grew up in a culture that celebrates them as goddesses and, at the same time, limits them with strict rules. Many are educated in modesty, family devotion, and sacrifice. They are often reserved, but when they smile, it's as if the sun breaks through the clouds. Marriage in India. In marriage, they seek stability, family, and respect. Not Western-style romantic love, but something deeper. Partnership built over time. A connection that grows through rituals, children, and shared challenges. These are women who know how to be strong in fragility, proud in apparent submission. They have learned to navigate a patriarchal system without losing their essence. And when they decide to rebel, they do so with a determination that moves mountains. India is changing, but be warned, modern India is changing this too. In big cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, and Delhi, young women work in multinational companies, drive motorbikes, and go out alone at night. They speak perfect English, wear jeans and t-shirts, and frequent bars and clubs. They want careers, independence, and choices. It's a generational clash that is redefining the country's identity. Between tradition and rebellion, between duty and desire, daily survival. Let's go back to the streets, because that is where India shows you its true face. In the temples where people pray with a devotion that knows no doubt. In the markets where people haggle over a rupee as if it were a matter of life and death. In the railway stations where millions of people travel every day on trains so full that people ride on the roofs. In the rural villages where electricity is still a luxury and water is drawn from a well. Poverty and joy. India is also this. It is the country where 200 million people live below the poverty line. Where children work instead of going to school. Where women give birth on the ground because there are no hospitals. Where diseases that disappeared in the West decades ago still claim victims. It is the country where human life seems to be valued little, where every day is a struggle for survival. And yet there is joy, an inexplicable, irrational, luminous joy. You see it in the eyes of children playing cricket with wooden sticks. You hear it in the laughter of women washing clothes at the river. You sense it in the evening chants in the temples. You breathe it in the religious festivals where millions of people gather in collective trance. India has learned to find beauty in chaos, hope in despair, and sacredness in dirt. India is beyond judgment, and here lies the secret. India is not the dirtiest and poorest country in the world because it has failed. It is that way because it contains everything. It holds the best and the worst of humanity in the same square foot. It is the country where a billionaire can live in a 27-story skyscraper while millions sleep on the sidewalk beneath him. Where information technology coexists with illiteracy. Where the future and the past are separated not by time, but only by a street. India is too big to be judged, too complex to be understood, too alive to be ignored. It is a giant that is waking up. With all its contradictions, its wounds, its wonders. It is a country that doesn't ask you to love it. It just asks you to see it, truly, without filters, without easy judgments, without the presumption of understanding everything in a one-week vacation. Because you don't visit India. You travel through India. You endure it. You absorb it. And then, perhaps, it changes you forever. Now tell me, what detail of this story struck you the most? The extreme poverty, the unrestrained luxury, the impossible contradictions. Write it in the comments. I want to know what truly touched you. And next week, I'll take you to a city where the future and the past confront each other in a way you've never imagined. Where silence screams louder than chaos. Where an entire nation hides behind a mask of perfection. Don't miss it.